Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Matt Donato,
I'm back.
AuSSy, and this is React After Raw, brought to you by RopeBreakWrestling.com. What's going on? We got tons of rope breakers weighing in on the chat already here. Pretty lackluster edition of Monday Night Raw, but we're still here. We're here. We're like your ex-wife said she would be. We're here for you through the ups and the downs. We've made that vow to the fans, and this one I guess we would consider a down. But weigh in with us here on YouTube. You can also weigh in with us on Twitter at Rope Break Wrestling. It's in the description.
They should already even know. They should know by now what the hell that is. And if they're new and they don't know, we need to fire a tech guy.
Yeah, we need a tech guy here.
If they're here and they don't know this stuff, I don't know how the hell they got here. It's a mystery. But you should already know this shit by now. Twitter, Facebook, we're everywhere. Rope Break is unstoppable.
That's right. We're also on Periscope, the Periscope app now. That's a new development just coming in now. So check us out on Periscope, just Rope Break Wrestling. And from time to time during Raws, pay-per-views, NXTs, we might pop up, do a live event real quick, react to Finn Balor's entrance, something like that. Just check us out either way. Of course, you can also donate to the cause here. If you're one of our lucky giveaway winners and you're saying, wow, I wish I could give back to these guys because they just sent me some free shit for free. The way you can do that is by checking us out on where? Patreon. I didn't even give the guy the chance.
Give me a chance.
It's like verbal garbage, just coming right out. We're on Patreon. You can go and donate as much as you want. You can do. See, the problem we've had with people on Patreon is they say, well, they can't afford to donate every month. I understand that. Like we always say, we're just wrestling fans, just like you guys.
We're eating ramen.
We're eating ramen.
We're eating ramen to get you guys these giveaways.
That's right. So the way you can do it is you can set it up for 1 month for $1.
Yep.
You can set it up for $1 a month, $5 a month, $5 once, however you want to do it. You can do it. Go to patreon.com/ropebreak. But Matt, we've got a lot to pack in. We started at, we'll say about 11:10, so we'll go to about 11:40.
Works for me.
Our promise to you guys is to keep it within that 30 to 45 minute range. That way everybody can get to sleep if Raw didn't put you to sleep to begin with. But Matt, let's talk about that finish, because that's immediately what our fans here on YouTube were talking about. Keith Bello, a prize winner last week.
Congratulations, Keith.
Said, predictable ending, but not bad.
I got to agree.
Jamie, also a prize winner, says, the endings kind of sucked in my opinion. And then Juggala91 said, I saw it coming a mile away. What would you say?
I agree. Very, very predictable. But the thing you got to think about, and this is the way that I've been judging Raw all night, is the fact that they only had 2 weeks to build into a pay-per-view. And this Raw clearly shows that is not enough time to build to a pay-per-view. So I agree. It was definitely 100% predictable. Right there with you. I saw it from a mile away. But, I mean, in retrospect, it works. I understand why they did it. So it wasn't horrible, but definitely never, ever, ever. Well, no, we're going to get that going to Money in the Bank. But after Money in the Bank, no more 2 weeks until a pay-per-view. It's not working unless – I mean, it should have been enough time, honestly. Let's be real, though. I think it should have been enough time.
And that's what I said to you.
But, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like just go home, they drop the ball. They have a habit of always trying to pack every little bit in that they can on the go-home Raw, and it just makes it a giant clusterfuck.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the show is 3 hours long, and that's something that, we've all complained about from time to time. It's a little too long, especially on a night like tonight, where 3 hours seems like an eternity, yet they don't get everything in that should have gotten in. They don't use the time properly to advance storylines, to tell stories. So, it makes for a long night of programming as to where you look at an NXT pay-per-view, which we saw last week. That was 2 hours long, and it got everything it needed to get in that 2 hours. Yep. it's crazy, to be honest with you, that we're 1 week away or less than a week away now from the return of a pay-per-view that was really loved by many fans, which Elimination Chamber. A lot of people were pissed when they found out that was going away. Now it's back, yet nobody's really thoroughly excited about the pay-per-view, and it's because they didn't use their time wisely. Juggler91 says they wasted a lot of time with Lana. That was one of the things that they really focused in on tonight, that I would have to agree with Juggler91 here and say they didn't need to advance that story tonight.
Right.
That could have waited until next Monday. They could have done a little bit more to get you invested into the Intercontinental Championship Elimination Chamber match itself. Instead, they spent time building Lana, Rusev, Ziggler, that kind of feud. What's your take on that?
I agree. We really got no build for the IC. The only build that we got was within the matches that they had.
Which were lackluster.
One being a squash match, which I had mentioned, that didn't make any sense to me. You're going to squash a guy who's involved in this match. Right off the get-go, we both agreed that R-Truth was a terrible choice. They should have gone with someone like a Neville, but they didn't. They went with R-Truth, which didn't make sense to either one of us. And not only now that they have this guy in there that we know is not going to win, they've made it inevitable and made him completely a waste of space by squashing him with Rusev. Mm-hmm. And like you put out, it would have made more sense if they had gone with a guy like Zack Ryder and gotten Rusev that Long Island heat. But they went with, to me, it didn't make any sense. It was, to me, really bad booking decision. I know that R-Truth isn't going to win, but if you're going to throw him in a match like this, at least give some semblance of winnability with him. At least make it look like he has some sort of chance.
Right.
But they didn't do that. They squashed him. It was a really quick match, which makes it, now it's kind of an empty pod, even though he's in there. It's pretty much an empty pod now. It's a waste.
I think you're 100% right. That's a good way to put it, as an empty pod. But go on.
I mean, and then you had Ryback versus Barrett, which to me, now I know for a fact we know Barrett's not going to win. I know that the rumors have been saying, that Sheamus is the guy who's going to be taking the title. But I mean, there just hasn't been an interesting build. I mean, you would think him coming off of King of the Ring, him being King Barrett, that's usually something you can use that to really, especially for me, a guy like Barrett, I think that fits him perfectly. Being from England, being that arrogant guy, this fits him perfectly. I think they could have used this to kind of escalate him a little bit, get him more interested in get the fans more invested in him as a heel. But instead, they've kind of had him. And not to say him losing to Neville's bad, but it doesn't do anything for him because a lot of the fans on the main roster don't really know Neville yet. So he's not, to us, being obviously NXT fanboys over here, we know who Adrian Neville is. We love Adrian Neville. We know who he was, on the indies, being Pac and all that kind of, we know his stuff. These people, they don't know who he is. He's still, to them, he's a rookie. So Barrett losing to a rookie doesn't look good.
Right.
I mean, if they had, I'm not saying him losing is bad, but they should have had him win something after that and kind of give him a little bit of a build, because now he's lost to Neville. He's won to Neville a couple times, I believe.
Yeah, he beat Neville to win the King of the Ring.
That's right.
But you're really right. You bring up the point of, he gets the King of the Ring title, and they have so much that they could do with that. But it seems like, and seems like a trend with the King of the Ring, there's been very few times where they've actually used it as a way to, really jetpack somebody to the top. I think of a guy like Kurt Angle that, did a great job. But then you look at guys that really didn't do jack shit after winning King of the Ring as far as what they could have done with them. You look at guys like William Regal. You look at guys like what they're doing with Barrett now. It doesn't make any sense. It's almost like they're like, hey, we can't afford to let this guy beat other people right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to give him the King of the Ring title, almost as if it means as much as a title.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And hey, that's good enough to keep him floating, like you mentioned earlier when we were watching Raw. It's almost like they want to just throw that on there as a floaty for him.
Yep,
it's a life jacket to keep him above the water until they can come back to him with something actually creative, because otherwise they're not doing shit with it. And Keith Bellow says, why not put Bray in the Elimination Chamber match instead of Truth? They could continue the Ryback feud, considering the Intercontinental Championship match is all about the different feuds they've been working on. I agree with that.
Yep.
I agree with the Neville proposal that you brought up there. I really would have liked to see that Red Arrow off of a pod spot. That's like a mark-out moment that they could have done there, but they're not going to. Instead, like you said, we got an empty pod with R-Truth. And really we'll talk about another empty pod in this Elimination Chamber too. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys, we thank you for tuning in after Monday Night Raw. We know that Raw runs late. You guys have things to do. That's why we promise you 30 minutes to 45 on this show. Another thing you can do for us while we're thinking about it, while you're thinking about it right now, what you can do for us is help us out. If you're saying, oh, I can't afford to help them out on Patreon, there's other ways you can help us out just as much, if not more, as donating money. And that is by hitting the like button on this video, hitting the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to us here on YouTube, and tweeting. The potential to get your followers invested into us and become our followers is huge. And it's you really can't put a dollar amount on that. Yep. So if you tweet us using the hashtag react, we will, for this episode only, we guarantee we will retweet you. Anything you use with the hashtag react on Twitter, tweeted to us, we will retweet, and we will also follow you on Twitter if we have not already. That's a promise that we're giving and making to you. But still, we've got people weighing in, continuing to weigh in. Sir Tommy T, a.k.a. Yogi, says, I said that on Twitter. If I was booking the match, it would be Wyatt, Ryback, Ziggler, Reigns, and Neville. I like the addition of Reigns in there. I think Reigns could have potentially been interesting in that match. Instead, and maybe this is a great transition for this because I know it's something that you wanted to talk about. Instead, we're really seeing Reigns kind of in limbo right now. He doesn't have a real concrete position on. It looks like he's not going to be on the Elimination Chamber card, which I think is smart, and I'll tell you why.
I agree.
I think what they're doing with him is they're backing him off. Everybody's been complaining, hey, you're forcing him down our throats. You're pushing him on us. We don't want him like that. And what they're doing is they're backing him off. But at the same time, they're pairing him with Dean Ambrose. They're building his character. I've been seeing, what we saw. What was it on Raw last week? Was it Raw last week where we saw Ambrose and Reigns go at it in the ring, or was it? No, it was at Payback.
That was Payback.
It was at Payback. We saw those two shoot the shit. Hey, there's nothing left to do. Loser buys the beers.
Yep.
That's the type of stuff you need, is the character development from Reigns.
Also, I was gonna say, also on SmackDown, they came out, kind of as a team to kind of go after Rollins. So you're right, they have been building this. I agree with you. They've been doing. It's a great
sidekick type of thing, and it doesn't have to be one guy being the other sidekick. It just makes sense story-wise for them to bond together over the common enemy that is Seth Rollins. And what it does for Roman Reigns is it helps him out tremendously in terms of getting him that babyface reaction. So now the fact that we don't have to see him in a match where he could be potentially booed, we're getting extra time here for them to build Reigns and have him paired alongside Ambrose. Maybe he helps Ambrose at Elimination Chamber. Maybe we see some sort of maybe we see Rollins drop the title and then pick it back up at Money in the Bank. Who knows? There's a couple different things they can do there, but I think in the meantime, what they're doing with Reigns is pretty good. It remains to be seen what they end up doing with him, because I know that's something you said is, what is the payoff here with Reigns? What do they plan on doing with him?
Yep, exactly. Because, what they're doing now is great, and I agree with you. It's definitely a very, very smart booking decision. Like you said, they're not shoving him down people's throats, even though you're still going to get the people who are still going to hate on him. Oh, this guy sucks. I got to admit personally, I'm not a diehard Ambrose. I'm not a diehard.
You are
Ambrose
a
fan.
diehard.
I am a diehard Ambrose fan. No. I'm a diehard John Moxley fan. There's a difference.
All right.
I'm not a diehard Roman Reigns fan, but you can't deny that the guy has really, really been improving. His match with Lesnar really, I started respecting the guy after that match because he took some bumps. And since then, he's been doing things. He's been really working hard to get himself out there. And, and this is really helping him. Like you said, getting him that babyface reaction, teaming him with Ambrose. People are like, oh, man, I like Reigns. He's saving Ambrose. That kind of deal. Just little things, that he's been doing. His small interaction at Payback, that verbal interaction that you could hear, that in itself builds him. It makes him feel real. And, these little things are great, but at the end of the day, where are they going with him? Is he going to still be in the title picture, or are they going to back him down? Maybe he's the guy who ends up beating Sheamus. I think that would be a smart move, because right now I think they have money with Ambrose and Rollins. I think Reigns right now needs to kind of work his way up a little bit, because it needs to really, I think him beating a guy like Sheamus, who's got a lot of heat on him right now as a heel, I think that match could be great, because right now he's being built as that monster heel. Nobody can take down Sheamus. Sheamus beats everyone. Then you got a Roman Reigns who comes in for the IC title. I think that's the perfect title for him to hold. That could really get him over with the crowd and then get him into that main event spotlight. And it'll give him the time to really work on his mic ability. And I mean, I got to admit, I think we haven't heard a whole lot recently, but from what I have heard after Mania, his mic work has improved somewhat. And that's all you can really hope for. He's not going after the title anymore. This is what I would say to all the Reigns haters. He's not going after the title anymore. He's not really in the main event picture. He's improving in the ring. He's improving on the mic. What else do you want from the guy?
Stop hating.
Stop hating on him. He's doing the work he needs to get where he is. Is he perfect? No, not at all. Is he a Rock? Is he a Stone Cold? No, not at all. Nobody really is. So just let the guy be who he is. Let him work his way up. And if he makes it, he makes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But he's not being pushed heavily anymore. There's no reason to really hate the guy anymore.
Right. And Juggler91 says Reigns will be a great if they let him. I agree. And I'm going to put you on the spot here real quick. I need a yes or no right off the rip.
Oh, shit.
No explanation.
Oh, shit.
I know somewhere Alec is smiling because he'd be very happy to know that Matt is not going to have an opportunity to give an explanation to this answer, but I'm going to put him on the spot. Our staff writer, Mitchell Jones, said just moments ago on the chat, I'm thinking Reigns turns heel soon. I want a yes or a no.
Oh, shit. Yes.
He says yes.
Yeah.
I think it could work too. But I also really like your Sheamus. I like the whole ordeal that you had with Sheamus. I think that would work great. But we've got about 10 minutes left there. We still got some other stuff to cover. Let's actually, before we do that, Keith Bello weighing in real quick says, if you want the ultimate push for Reigns, have him beat Cena in the U.S. Open Challenge. And then Jamie says, yes, please. So that's two people on the same wavelength there.
A lot of places they can go with this.
Yep. Let's talk about, though, the title of our show is Kevin Owens to the main roster, ? And let's talk about Kevin Owens, John Cena. It's a good segue because Keith was just talking about the U.S. Open Challenge. Tonight, I thought John Cena did an excellent job of putting over their match at Elimination Chamber, talking about Owens, acknowledging the fight Owens fight chant, acknowledging that Owens is a big-time guy that has the potential to sway the crowd. That I thought was excellent. And then Owens comes out, and he's got new attire. I'm going to let you speak on the new attire. But the reason why we titled this show Owens Main Roster ? And this is a great opportunity for us to show you this. On these shirts, these are NXT shirts. Right here, they both have the NXT tag on them. Why is that significant? Well, because Kevin Owens' new shirt is being sold on WWEshop.com and does not have that NXT tag. So the thought is it's very possible that Kevin Owens could be staying on the main roster. And you might say immediately, well, he's got the NXT Championship. How can he do that? Remember, Paige debuted on the main roster, won the Divas Championship, and still held the NXT Women's Championship at the same time. So it's not something that hasn't been done before. I think As a matter of fact, him being on the main roster with the NXT Championship might provide eyes that aren't on NXT now to NXT. So I think it could be a good thing. What do you think? What do you think about the attire, though?
I don't know. I just felt like the shirt was too. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. Maybe it's something. At the beginning, I wasn't feeling Seth Rollins' attire. I wasn't really digging it. But I just feel like it's too clean, too main roster. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's almost too perfect. You know what I mean? Everything, the letters are all nice. Like I just feel like Kevin Owens' shirt when he debuted in NXT, the KO. I think they just go a little too over the top. His shorts, it reminded me of Lesnar's shorts in a sense.
He's too commercialized.
Exactly. Way too commercialized. And I just wasn't feeling it. Maybe it's something that I'll, have to just get used to, but it just didn't feel like Kevin Owens. I was hoping that when he made it to the main roster, whoever he'd be feuding with would be they'd do some kind of knockoff shirt with Kevin Owens like he did when he was in Ring of Honor. He had the Kill Steen Kill shirt in the same format as the Rise Above Hate red, white, and blue Cena shirt. I was hoping they'd do something like that. He came out. Was it NXT Unstoppable when he had? It was NXT Unstoppable when he had the John Cena shirt. That's more related to his character, where this shirt just didn't feel like a Kevin Owens type attire to me.
I agree with you.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It just didn't feel like, like Kevin Owens to me. And I don't think it's a shirt that if I'm going to buy a Kevin Owens shirt, they can have two other shirts just like that. I'm going to go buy the KO shirt from NXT because I like that one the best. I think it fits him. It's rugged. It's simple. I
think what you said there too, rugged is the word.
Right.
Because actually Matt also pointed out, check out that Kevin Owens sign in the crowd. It was all dirty and
ripped up and beat up. It looked cool. It looked like Kevin
rugged.
Owens.
It looked rugged. It looked like Kevin Owens. So I think that's a good explanation. Yeah. I think you've actually talked me into that. I do like the shirt.
I like
the shorts. The reason I like it, I should say, is because I guess I'm looking at it and it's cool that you and I have these differing viewpoints on it because that's better for the show.
Right.
I looked at it and I immediately said, push.
Okay.
A new shirt. He's got his own shorts. They're going to try and push that merchandise. He's going to be pushed for it. So that's what it says to me. That's the thing that goes off my mind. But you bring up an excellent viewpoint that I didn't think of. It's not necessarily his character to have a very clean cut shirt. So I can totally see where you're coming from. I can't disagree with you. Mitchell Jones says, Owens should have attacked Ryder, in my opinion. Great way to get heat after pushing the hometown boy. I can't disagree with that either.
I have to agree with that too. I actually thought that that's what they were going to do when they were all in the ring. I thought he was going to come in, try to attack the Entourage guys. They were going to jump out. He was going to hit Ryder with a pop-up power bomb, something to that effect. That would have been a really smart move. But then you would have given Cena the opportunity to get something over on Owens, which, again, that might have even been a smart move there. But I know they want him to go in clean without any kind of blemishes into Elimination Chamber. That way he looks like the unstoppable guy. He's always getting one over on Cena. But for us smart fans, that kind of tells us that he's not going to win.
Right. One would think that by conventional booking that's the way it would go. Now, Jamie says, I almost wish Owens was worse on the mic so that one day he could be a Paul Heyman guy. That's pretty funny. And that makes me think of something. Keith earlier in the show said Ambrose is equal to Stone Cold, because a lot of people have been drawing the comparisons of, Ambrose drove in the ambulance night.
Yep.
He's been taking on that Stone Cold persona, the crazy type of stuff. He's the one that's doing it. You know what I mean? You think Austin, you think the cement, which happened at the Nassau Coliseum, by the way. You think about the beer truck in Albany that happened where we're from, where Keith's from. All that type of stuff. You think of Ambrose. I think he drove an ambulance in before he drove the police truck in today.
Yep.
So he says Ambrose equals Stone Cold, Reigns equals Cena. I'm thinking the reason he's saying that is because of the company backing. Rollins equals Triple H because they've got that mentor-slave-master relationship there. So who will become the next Rock? And just for the sake of the show, I would put forth the argument that Kevin Owens would be the guy to fill that next spot, not in the sense of the athletic, cocky Rock persona, but the guy that is just flat out dominant on the microphone. The guy that can come in and make it feel 110% real and cut promos that give you the chills and make you want to watch him back on YouTube 10 years later.
Yep.
That's the Kevin Owens guy. He's been doing that, since his Ring of Honor days, and I think he could be that guy where you're glued to the TV when he's on the microphone. We saw it last week with Cena. That was his debut on Raw. He's got to be shitting his drawers.
Yep.
He's been working to make it to that day for his entire career, for 15 years. He makes it there, and he delivered.
Yep.
That tells me he's going to continue to deliver.
And it's not even 10 years later, and I already watched that shit back like 30 times.
Yeah.
Ain't even 10 years later.
Yeah, it was excellent. There's no doubting that. A lot of people wanted to see a little bit more heat from Owens tonight, though. So, Mitch wanted that Ryder, wanted him to attack Ryder. I see that. I would totally agree with that, just because it makes sense. It gives him, like you said, that Long Island heat before too. You also get Sir Tommy T. Would be good to see Owen do the apron powerbomb on Ryder. So, again, we've got rope breakers on the same wavelength here, and we're with you. It's pretty much the same deal is what I would say. Before we go here, we got just a couple minutes left, I think. Let's quickly touch on what a bulk of the show was surrounded on. A bulk of the first hour and a half, 2 hours, was surrounded by Lana, Rusev, Ziggler.
Yep.
Let's touch on that real quick, because I said, and you agreed, they didn't need to do that this week on Raw. We've got a couple minutes left. What are you looking for in this? What's the blow off? What's the payoff here with Rusev and Lana?
I'm not 100% sure, but knowing, like I said to you earlier, with the rumors being that Ziggler's contract is, coming up soon, and there's questions as to whether or not he's going to resign with the company, makes me think that if that is true and he doesn't end up resigning, the blow off could be huge. It could be Rusev going over Ziggler, which would be a really big win for Rusev. Him taking out Ziggler, they could add that into the storyline. Rusev takes out Ziggler to the point where he can never return. He ends his career. That could be huge. If Ziggler were to stay, I don't really know where they're headed with this. Does Rusev get a loss from Ziggler? Is this a push for Ziggler?
Do you see Lana leaving Rusev permanently here? Because what I heard or what I read was that Lana might be turned into, we might find out she's not really a Russian. She might drop the whole Russian gimmick and become the next Sable. That's what, that's the immediate thing that we were hearing. And you kind of get that Mark Marrow Sable vibe from what they're doing here. History does repeat itself. They're trying to do something similar to that. But if Ziggler isn't going to stick around, does that come back to bite them in the ass? If they have Lana just disappear from Rusev, if she drops the Russian thing, she can never go back to Rusev. I feel like this would be a huge gamble, but it's been reported that Vince is super high on Lana. The crowd is super high on Lana, we know. Not just emotionally high either for some people out there. But that's, I don't know. I think it's dangerous. I'm interested to know what you guys think. Jamie says, I heard Vince is very high on Lana, which means probably within the next month and a half, Vince is going to return to TV and make out with her on the show. Because that's, you think of Trish, Tori, Stacy Keibler, pretty much, anybody else.
But you also got to think, though, she hasn't lost the accent yet, and that could be, maybe that's not going to happen at all. And if Ziggler is getting ready to leave the company and maybe she isn't really gone from Rusev, maybe she rejoins him again at some point, screwing over Ziggler. I know I read that somewhere. But, it's not looking to me like that's the way that they're going to go with it. I don't think that Ziggler's contract is that I feel like he's going to resign. So maybe you're right. Maybe she drops the accent. Maybe that leaves. But what happens with this rivalry? Does that mean Ziggler's going over Rusev?
I don't necessarily know. I feel like whoever gets Lana in the end is going to go over. Because at the end of the day, the girl is usually the biggest prize of them all. So, I could see Lana screwing Ziggler over, leading him on, and then, I was with Rusev the whole time. It was all a big ploy, blah, blah, blah. But really, I don't think Rusev can afford another loss in a feud right now. After what happened with Cena, if he loses Lana, the Russian gimmick, and a feud with Ziggler, I mean, I don't like the B word buried, but
it's close. It's
where do we
hurting him a lot?
Yes.
It's hurting him a lot. They could end up going with a scenario where Rusev beats the hell out of Ziggler and end up winning the match, or maybe he can't continue, which puts, and then Lana gives sympathy to Ziggler, goes over and makes sure he's okay, follows him out of the arena and whatnot. They could go with something like that. But I don't know. Right now, it's a difficult mesh of just right now. It's kind of like a cluster. It really is. It's confusing, sloppy. And you're right. They spent way too much time in this. It was unnecessary. They could have touched on it a little bit. But the problem is the storyline has nothing really to do with the Elimination Chamber. They should have been focusing on that. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, it may factor in a little bit, so they could have touched on it, but spending all of this time, trying to get that all, they could have been working on other things to build up to this pay-per-view, which this is seeming to be a problem with a throw-in pay-per-view, if this is the way that they're going to do it, where they're like, oh, it's just a throw-in pay-per-view. We're just going to pretend like it's a normal... that's what it feels like to me. Like they were just pretending like this is a normal second week of Raw and not a go home. Like if this were the second week and they still had time to build, then I could say, okay, this Raw wasn't too bad. But because this, this Sunday is Elimination Chamber and we have really the only interest, has been built on its own. It's not interest built on their booking. It's interest built on the fact that Owens is going to be there from NXT and everybody's pumped to see that, the Elimination Chamber is back. Right. And that's a really cool match to see. But other than that, I mean, it hasn't really been. It's not exciting because of anything that they've done. Right. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, there's still SmackDown. Well, don't forget about Superstars and Main Event. Yeah. But you did say before though that. And you're right on this. The past few months of pay-per-views has been a really, really weird and not really a huge build going to pay-per-view, but the pay-per-views have been delivering. So that could be the scenario again. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, that could be the scenario. And, the good thing about Rope Break Wrestling, we always deliver. So you don't have to worry about that. That's true. And tonight we delivered another edition of React After Raw. Unfortunately, however, we have to announce to you that next week there will be no React After Raw. The reason being, Stone Cold is interviewing Paul Heyman on the Stone Cold podcast. And being that we're wrestling fans, we're WWE fans, we do not want to subject you guys to have to sit in front of your computer and watch us over that. Yeah. We want you guys to catch that, and we want to catch that. Absolutely. So we're going to catch that. How about that? Yeah, we're going to do that. So next week, no React After Raw. But for those of you that are starting to break down, maybe tears in your eyes, I've got a little nugget of a surprise for you. Matt doesn't even know this one yet. I'm going to be excited. This week, to make up for the fact that there will be no React After Raw next week, for one time only. It could snowball into more, but I will bring back the sharpshoot for this week. This Thursday before SmackDown, the sharpshoot with AuSSy will be back, Thursday night sharpshoot, and I'm asking right here on the show that Mr. Matt Donato will be my guest for that show. I don't know. How much you gonna pay me? It depends on how much we get in Patreon donations. There we go. Which probably means zero. I will absolutely be there. I'm pretty pumped. And just so you guys know, I got a surprise too. And he doesn't even know this. For one time only, I'm bringing back Before the Bell. I'm just kidding. Don't go away. Please don't Don't exit out. Don't stop. Don't unlike our Facebook page. It was a joke. Not bringing back that piece of garbage that's been swept under the rug. It was a joke. It's a joke.
All right. Well, anyways, enough with the shenanigans. We got to close it out here because we've already gone into overtime. We got so many people here. Look at Sir Tommy T. He's been begging for the sharpshoot to come back. He says, "Oh my fucking god, yes!"
No, that was before the bell. Obviously,
bell.
It was right after I said it.
All right. So either way, whether you're loving the return here of the sharpshoot or you're wishing that before the bell comes back, there's the confirmation. The sharpshoot is back.
Damn it.
The cool thing is you guys are going to have total control over this episode of the sharpshoot. What I want you to do here is go onto our Twitter page, use the hashtag sharpshoot, and tell me and Matt what you want us to talk about.
Tyler Ayers weighing in ew before the bell is back. Wow.
No,
wow.
You guys, for whatever you want to hear on the sharpshoot, if you want to hear Matt and I talk about whatever you want to talk about, it can be related to current storylines, it could be related to Elimination Chamber, it could be predictions for Elimination Chamber, it could be about a match from 1992. Let us know what you want us to talk about on the sharpshoot this Thursday night, and do so by tweeting us. That's the only way we're going to be able to take it. Your tweet could make the show if we decide to pick it.
When is this happening?
Thursday night, before SmackDown, on our YouTube page right here, the full post-production show. Your tweet could make the show if you tweet us using the hashtag sharpshoot and what it is you want us to talk about. So please do that. Yogi, tell all your friends. Sharpshoot's back. Get on the phone. Don't text. Don't tweet. Don't Facebook. Get on the phone. Rotary phone. Ready? And tell your friends. The sharpshoot is back. You don't want to miss this.
Broadcasting to the past?
I'm broadcasting to the past. I'm planting an idea in the heads of the past you so that the future you can tell your friends the sharpshoot's back. And it's this Thursday.
Hashtag. I'm gonna hashtag. I want to get a retweet.
Hashtag.
I'm gonna hashtag.
He's gonna hashtag.
I'm gonna hashtag. I want to get a retweet.
You can tweet to this guy at Real Matt Donato. You can tweet to this guy at I Am AuSSy. You can tweet to both of us, Alec, Mitch, all of our staff writers, all of us.
wants to message Mitch.
Good point. Good point. By tweeting us at Rope Break Wrestling. The spelling is below in the description if you're scratching your head like, how the fuck do you spell that?
It's right there.
Sir Tommy T is giving you a good pat on the back. Before the bell was good, I will say that I enjoyed it, but it wasn't quite the sharpshoot. Zing!
Damn.
I mean, Sharpshoot was the Golden Rope Award-winning show for the year. And I can't confirm whether or not my parents voted.
Don't feel bad. My parents voted for you, too.
Keith says, I'm going to use 1-800-COLLECT. I'm telling you, brother, use that sharpshoot hashtag, and your tweet could make the show. Like I said, we're going to talk about anything that your little heart desires. It's the sharpshoot with AuSSy, but this has been React After Raw. That's Matt Donato. I am AuSSy, and this is RopeBreakWrestling.com. Get out of the bleachers.
Get in the ring.
It's Rope Break.